I always watch out for Juliana Olayinka when she goes for events as big as the UK Africa Investment Summit. I'm sure it's sometimes very difficult to stop by for a cup of coffee. So, Juliana, good morning. Hope you're a little bit clear-eyed this morning and get some stamina to withstand this barrage of questions I've got for you and explanations of all that you covered yesterday. Great job, well done. Thank you for Channels Television yesterday, all through the shows and the bulletins. Thank you so much. We appreciate all that.
Thank you, Bosun. Good morning. Next time, make sure you come along. You left me with all the work.
Oh, my. Oh, my. Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. Maybe the next one is going to take place in summer. Then I'm going to try and brave the cold. I saw a lot of number of Nigerian delegates all spruced up because of the cold weather. So how much of all that was gathered yesterday? Bring us the high points from the general perspective, the events as a whole. Senegal, Egypt, Rwanda, everybody who's everyone. But most importantly, from Prime Minister Boris Johnson's speech.
Well, Bosun, you have been to a lot of these big summits. This is the first time that the UK had hosted Africa on such a grand scale. In fact, this is the first international summit that Boris Johnson's new government has hosted. And of course, the fact that Africa was right front and centre shows just how seriously Boris Johnson's government are in trying to push forward their new trading partners. They've got just 10 days until they officially leave their biggest trading bloc. And they do want Africa to take the bulk of that trade. Boris Johnson did open the proceedings yesterday, and he was pretty clear, pretty tough. You know what Boris Johnson's like. We've heard him speak before. There were a lot of gaffes, a lot of jokes, but he was pretty serious, saying that, he really wants Britain to be the investment choice for Africa, because we are spoilt for choice. We've been doing great business with Beijing for several years. The Russians are trying to come in. America have started some new investment opportunities. So he was reminding Africa of their colonial history, and they want to turn that into a new modern history. He was really trying to promote brand Britain, talking about it being the centre for currency trading, the centre for the equities market. Just before the Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta got to the summit, he was actually being hosted by Schwimmer, the CEO of the London Stock Exchange, down in the city. So I think overall, Britain, Boris Johnson will see it as it's a great success. And I think as well, the African delegates, the African heads of states that were there, well, surely I felt as if they were taken seriously. And it was a big risk for Boris Johnson not to go to Davos, which is starting today, but instead take time out to host the 21 states that were there. I think, who knows, good deals could be done from this.
Great. I know the Prime Minister was a very good host, and he gave a very hearty speech. He spoke the sound bites that the audience want, and I've seen some images of some side meetings, handshakes, for example, with President Buhari in some of the images coming through from London. So everyone seemed to have a very nice time. But again, in terms of trade and investment relations, how much of this came through yesterday in some of the sessions you were able to attend, despite the fact that you were busy chasing various crossovers to the HQ here in Lagos and tried to do some interviews as well?
Okay, well, the International Development Secretary, Alok Sharma, he actually closed the proceedings, and I did manage to get a little bit of his speech, and he said, even before the opening plenary session, which was about 9:45 London time, £6.5 billion worth of deals had been signed. And he said during the day, billions more were also signed, and about £1.5 billion was pledged by the British government themselves, not the businesses, into investment projects. So it's huge. We're not talking about small deals here. However, I must say there were a lot of young entrepreneurs who were being promoted on stage. A lot of people I know, some people that had been onto Channel's Business Global were there. So it was a place for the big guys, the multinational companies, but also as well the small startup businesses, because of course 60% of Africa, the African population, are under 25, and the British government are very in tune to that. They know that the future are the youth, so they were really showcasing those individuals. But no, look, it was business, and this wasn't one of those summits like you see in a place like Davos where there's a lot of conversation. This was deals being signed, contracts and checks being delivered, and lots of bilateral gatherings. And I know that those bilateral meetings, again, were to get the ink on the paper.
Yes, an international event, but I'm sure you have your eyes on the Nigerian team and you listen to some of the sound bites. What's your takeaways from Nigerian team in a very big team we had on the ground, by the way, I'm sure?
Do you know what? I've got to say I was pleasantly surprised, Bosun. Of course, when you're in the diaspora, you do get to hear lots of criticism about the government. Of course, every single government still has pledges that they need to deliver. But let me tell you one thing for sure. The Nigerian delegation definitely had the star quality. Everybody wanted to get close to President Muhammadu Buhari, even the heads of states from other countries. And we did have the big ones there: Angola, Egypt, Kenya, South Africa, Ghana. But Nigeria definitely packed the punch. Of course, we are the largest economy. We came with everybody from, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Trade. We had Tony Elumelu there. We also had Ngozi Iweala, who closed the session. So without Nigeria, it wouldn't have been the same. Even in Prime Minister Boris Johnson's opening remarks, he quoted Nigeria 3 or 4 times, and the International Development Secretary in his closing statement said that he has a fond memory of Nigeria. So we're definitely the leaders of the pack. And I personally believe that a lot of the governors and the ministers that were there had time to reflect about the investment opportunities that are available to citizens within their local constituencies. There is a new way of thinking. The world is going in a completely new way. Sustainable development is high up on the agenda. Growth within jobs is high up on the agenda. Really appreciating the youth is important. And Britain were pretty tough with their, with what they had to offer. It's not just going to be business done the way it's usually done. If Africa wants to take advantage of the investment opportunities being given to it by Britain, they've got to, come in line with some of the ways this money will be trickling down. And I personally believe, having spoken to a few of them, that they took that information on board.
Yes. My last question for you, Juliana, was the fact that on Twitter these days, you just get to see everyone. This is your picture. Taking a selfie with the Ogun State governor. And you just posted this on your Twitter handle. This is, I'm in the marketplace, and it's all about what you call transparency and disclosure. So, and you wrote in this tweet to your followers around the world, you said, did you know that I'm from Ogun State with Dapo Abiodun MFR at yesterday's UK Africa Investment Summit? I'm just revealing all of this. So my question on this is, were you proudly Nigeria at the UK Africa Investment Summit? Simple yes or no?
Absolutely. Listen, I told you that Nigeria completely took over the Intercontinental at the O2, which is an area in North Greenwich, pretty close to
I got you there. I got you there.
Lots of Nigerians live in that area anyway. And I think the British government, as well as the other delegates, were pretty surprised at just how many of us there were. We were all trying to chase and grab interviews, but no. Look, it was a positive.
If you got a chance, if you got
to ask the right questions.
Juliana, if you got a chance next time with Mr. President, before he leaves office, the other gentleman prostrated before Mr. President, maybe you're going to take a bow or just kneel down. The African traditional way. Thank you. Have a great time. Muse over that. Let's take a break. 2 minutes, everyone. Thank you, Juliana.